Hello everyone, this is Robert, founder of Raise. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through the process of building a work order and assigning it to a crew in the Raise production management area. Before we get started, I want to point out a couple of key areas on this page. Towards the top, you can assign a project manager to this job, keep track of the job status, started and completed dates. On the right side of your screen is where we store our job site notes. These notes appear on every work order for this job. They're intended to be any specific details about the location or client that everyone who goes to this site needs to know about. They're stored under the location, and every time you create a job for this location, they will show up. You can edit, add to, or remove from these notes on a per job basis. Underneath the job site notes, we have the job log, where we document every action taken in the production process to create a detailed record of the job. You can also add tasks to other team members or add manual notes to the log for the record. Now that we're oriented to some of the peripheral items on this screen, let's get into the core function of this page. You'll notice on the left-hand side that we have 3 tabs: roofing, slopes, siding, and gutters. That makes up the full scope of work for this job. We'll move through each tab one by one, going through the same process to move this job from start to completion. Each work order goes through a 3-step process of pre-production, schedule, and review. In pre-production, we're building our work order, ensuring that all of the necessary information for our crew to properly execute the job is provided. In the schedule section, we'll actually assign that work order to a crew, put it on our calendar, and track the started and completed date for that work order. And then our review section allows us to assign somebody internally to go and review the crew's work to ensure that it's up to our standards and the homeowner standards. Before we can begin with pre-production, we first have to select our work type. By default, we offer 3 different options: repair, replace, or new construction. Depending on your selection will dictate the necessary requirements to move this work order from the pre-production phase into scheduling. Once I've selected my work type, the pre-production area will open up and a gray circle will appear that will guide me through the steps I need to take to properly complete this work order. For this example, you can see I have 4 requirements. I'll need to provide permit and inspection information, add work order details, provide photos, and a material order. If a deposit was required on this job, we would also be tracking whether that deposit has been received or not. So let's go ahead and start building. I can simply press the blue edit pencil next to each requirement to open up the area where I can provide the proper information. So in my permit and inspection area, I'll enter a permit number, a date that the permit is pulled. I'll identify my required inspections for this work order. So we'll go with ice and water and a final inspection. If I've scheduled my ice and water, I'll go ahead and put the date that it's scheduled for and submit. We'll see that one of the segments on our circle has been filled out. Upon clicking the circle again, I'll see that the dot next to permit inspections has turned green, indicating that requirement's been met. So next, we'll work on work order details. The work order details area provides you a trade-specific worksheet to provide all of the most important information for your crew to properly execute the job. This helps prevent any delays or mishaps on the job. Once my work order details are finished, I'll move on to photos. Now, what's nice about our photo system is that all the photos that you capture, whether it's during the initial inspection, any follow-up visits, even an adjustment, will all be stored in one area that's available throughout the entire process of the contract, whether that's building your quote, managing your job, or even during the invoicing section. And to add any photos to the relevant area, you simply use the tags that you see listed under each photo. So our minimum requirement is 5 photos for the roofing sloped work order, so I'll go ahead and tag that for these photos. Now our minimum requirement is 5, but it looks like all of them are relevant, so I'll tag all of them. I'll save my tags and then return to the job. So now I just have one requirement left, which is to build my material order. Now, if you've used our takeoff feature in our estimating platform, you likely won't need to go through this step. The material order will already have been created for you. But just in case you do need to build one from scratch, I'll walk you through that process really quickly. First, press the plus button in the top right of the window. Select which work order this is for, so roofing sloped. Type for your supplier, go with ABC here, and then select Create Order. Now, the best way to quickly create your material order is to go to the Load Material template and select a template. It will preload all the items you need to build that. Then you simply need to select the style and add the number of units that you'll need. So let's say we're getting 44 bundles here. You'll notice that your unit price loads automatically, and as you add your quantity, your cost will fill out as well. So you simply do this for every line item, get your material order looking how you need, and then at the end, press save and send to production. Now, all of our requirements have been met. The scheduling portion of the work order opens up, and we can proceed with assigning this work order to a crew. But before we do that, let's take a look at what we built. This is what the work order will look like that your crew receives. So you can see it has photos, all of those details, pretty much everything that they need to successfully execute this build. To actually perform the scheduling is really straightforward. So you'll simply click on the little edit pencil next to schedule, click a drop down and select the crew you want to assign this to, and then punch in your start ETA, which will put it on your calendar. You'll see that we do now have the ability to send a text message to this crew directly from our system, so you can have some enhanced communication. We go to our production calendar, we'll see that this work order now appears for the date that we scheduled it. Now that you've assigned this work order to a crew, they'll receive an email with a link to their installer portal where they can see all of the work orders that you've assigned to them. They'll also have the ability to perform certain functions on their end, like checking into the job site, which will automatically punch in a started date into this work order, uploading photos and sending you notes, which will appear in the notes from the installer, and closing out the work order, which will automatically place a completed date into this work order. From there, you'd move on to the review section, which is the last stage in our work order management process. We'll cover that in a different video, but for now, you should feel confident with building and assigning work orders in the Raise production management system.